This is a fairy tale. Listen to it. In the crisp embrace of winter, Prince Ferdinand decided he needed adventure. The royal palace, with its endless banquets and tedious politics, had grown unbearably dull. So, with his trusty horse Thunder and a gleaming hunting spear, Ferdinand ventured into the vast snow-covered forest, his eyes set on finding a wild boar to prove his mettle. Hours passed as he galloped through the frosty woods. The prince finally spotted his prey, a massive boar with tusks that gleamed like ivory. With a triumphant yell, Ferdinand gave chase. The boar, unimpressed by Ferdinand's royal lineage, darted through thickets and over streams with remarkable agility. Thunder valiantly pursued, but as the prince focused on his quarry, he failed to notice how deep he'd ventured into the forest. When the boar finally disappeared into the shadows, Ferdinand reined in Thunder and looked around. The dense forest now seemed unfamiliar. Tall pines stretched endlessly, their branches weighed down by snow. The daylight was fading, and a creeping chill sank into Ferdinand's bones. "Well, this is awkward," Ferdinand muttered to Thunder, who neighed in agreement. "Lost in the woods like a rookie. Father will never let me hear the end of this." As he wandered, Ferdinand's eyes caught a faint glimmer of light through the trees. Intrigued and desperate for shelter, he steered Thunder toward it. Soon he came upon a small, weathered house nestled between two towering pine trees. Smoke curled lazily from its chimney, promising warmth and refuge. Knocking on the door, Ferdinand was greeted by a young woman, her brown hair tumbling over her shoulders and her simple dress patched in places. Despite her humble appearance, she exuded an air of quiet strength and intelligence. "Good evening," Ferdinand said, flashing his most princely smile. "I seem to have lost my way. Might I trouble you for shelter tonight?" The woman hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Come in. I'm Maria. The forest isn't safe at night." Maria was a striking young woman with brown, cascading hair that framed her expressive green eyes, which held a mix of strength and vulnerability. Despite her humble appearance, she carried herself with quiet dignity and an air of mystery that drew Ferdinand in. Her voice was soft but firm, hinting at a resilience shaped by years of hardship. Inside, the house was modest but cozy. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Ferdinand warmed his hands as Maria ladled out a simple stew. They spoke little over dinner, but Ferdinand couldn't help noticing her piercing green eyes and the sadness that seemed to linger behind them. That night, Maria showed Ferdinand to a small guest room. "Rest well," she said, her voice tinged with an odd mix of hope and apprehension. Ferdinand, exhausted from the day's adventures, fell onto the creaky bed and drifted into a fitful sleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, Ferdinand awoke to the sound of whispers. Sitting up, he scanned the room but saw nothing unusual. The whispers grew louder, and he could make out fragments of sentences. "She's cursed. Only a true kiss can save her." Ferdinand's heart raced. "Who's there?" he demanded, but the whispers faded into silence. He considered investigating, but decided against it. "Probably just the wind," he muttered, pulling the blanket over his head. Or maybe the stew was a bit too fermented. When morning came, Ferdinand awoke to find the house eerily quiet. Maria was nowhere to be seen. He called out for her but received no reply. Confused and slightly unnerved, Ferdinand saddled Thunder and rode home, the mysterious whispers and Maria's absence gnawing at his mind. Back at the palace, life resumed its predictable rhythm, but Ferdinand couldn't shake the memory of Maria. Her image haunted his thoughts, and the whispered words replayed endlessly in his mind. A true kiss, a curse. It all seemed absurd, yet he couldn't let it go. That Sunday, Ferdinand attended Mass with his family, as was customary. As the priest droned on about virtue and piety, Ferdinand's gaze wandered to the back of the church. There, half hidden among the congregation, he saw her, Maria. His heart leapt. As soon as the service ended, Ferdinand pushed through the crowd, ignoring the startled glances of nobles and peasants alike. "Maria," he called, but she slipped out of the church, moving swiftly through the snowy streets. Undeterred, Ferdinand followed, his royal boots slipping on icy cobblestones. "Maria, wait!" he shouted. Finally, he caught up to her in a quiet alley. "Why did you leave?" he demanded, breathless. Maria's eyes filled with tears. "You shouldn't have followed me, Your Highness. I'm not what you think I am." "Nonsense," Ferdinand said, stepping closer. "I don't care what's going on. I just know I can't stop thinking about you. And if there's even the slightest chance those whispers were right..." Before Maria could protest, Ferdinand leaned in and kissed her. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant light enveloped Maria, forcing Ferdinand to shield his eyes. When the light faded, Maria stood before him, transformed. Her patched dress was now a gown of shimmering silk, and a delicate crown adorned her head. She looked as stunned as Ferdinand felt. "It's true," she whispered. "The curse is broken." Maria explained everything over a celebratory feast at the palace. She was a princess from a neighboring kingdom, cursed by a spiteful witch for rejecting her son's hand in marriage. The curse had turned her into a pauper, trapping her in the forest until a true kiss, one born of genuine affection, could break the spell. Ferdinand, ever the romantic, declared their meeting destiny. Maria wasn't so sure about the whole destiny angle, but admitted she was grateful for his persistence. The two married in a great ceremony that united their kingdoms, and they lived happily ever after. Well, mostly. Ferdinand occasionally teased Maria about her former life in the forest, and she, in turn, reminded him about his less than heroic screaming at phantom whispers. And as for Thunder, the royal steed enjoyed a well-deserved retirement, dining on the finest oats and recounting his adventures to anyone who would listen.